Hello, everybody. A lot of people come on this live thing and they say, "Oh, are we live? Are we live?" It's like they don't realize they're live. But when you hit start live, that means you're broadcasting. That was a little dig for my friend Chris Patilli over at GSF Mortgage down in Delaware. But anyway, Chris, hope you're doing well. I'm not sure if you're on yet, but I know you will be. So we're here today. This is episode 22. Last week I said it was episode 20, and I was from the Short Hills Mall, but it's actually episode 22. Last week was 21. This is Real Estate Talk, TGIF. Thank God it's finale. Yes, I know it means Friday, but today is Friday, but finale is me. But here we're with the Real Estate Pete, Peter Kopec. Pete and I worked together for a few years when he first got into the business. Now Pete is with Keller Williams in Ridgewood, New Jersey. And one of the things about Pete is I've always noticed that he was always ready to grasp onto some crazy thoughts that I had. And I always liked that. But the biggest thing, and I think the thing he got better than anybody else, which is a little bit different, I think, and Pete, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is the way you've been able to communicate not only with your clients and customers, but with other agents. Can you talk a little bit? First of all, thanks for being on today, Pete. I know you've been really, really busy with some extra stuff, so we'll talk about later. Thanks for being on. So anyway, what can you expand on that with that?
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on. And are we live?
We are live.
So, I mean, can you just repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So being different is what Real Estate Skill Builder is all about. And it's also what you've really been within your business. And you've started, the way you communicate does not seem different to you, but you've always been very thorough in your communication with your clients and other real estate agents that you're working with. I wanted you to expand on that and talk about your communication process and system.
So communication, at least for as far as like social media and online presence, I mean, for me, the biggest thing is just to try and be real and not to overthink it as much as possible. I think we all kind of have a fear that, when we put something out there, we're going to be judged. There's going to be people who are going to like it, people who are not going to like it. But I've just kind of always looked at it as, it's kind of the same as in the real world, in person to person. I mean, whether they're liking your post or not liking your post, it's the same as in person. I mean, they might be thinking things about you and not. I mean, life's too short, and I've just kind of always tried to have fun with it. And just put myself out there. I mean, I just always kind of just looked at it as, hey, look, man, it is what it is. If I can make someone laugh with something corny or whatever, I mean, it's just try and have fun with it. That's really what I've been doing. And
so that's basically discussing the social media end of it. And I've heard, as I said to you earlier today, I've heard over the past week from 4 individuals, 30 and under. One was 30, the rest were under, that they're not comfortable with social media. And, you hear, at least me being a couple years older than you, Pete, I hear that, the millennial group, which I know that's not a word that most people like, but they're the ones that are supposed to be really, really good at it, right? So tell me, what is the disconnect with millennials and social media? And I'm starting to see, is it more as a pattern that they're less likely to do it, and including Instagram as well, then to do it, and they're kind of afraid of it. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I guess some people don't like, to, I guess, open themselves up to the general public, which, I mean, I think is understandable. But I think especially in this business, I mean, it's like the old adage, right? People have to know you, like you, and trust you. Well, what's a better way for people to get to feel like they know you than through social media? I mean, I can't really speak to other people, individual thoughts, as to why they might want or not want to do it, or feel comfortable or not feel comfortable. Everybody's different, but I just think in today's day and age with technology, I mean, the technology with contracts and paperwork alone is a huge advantage, but to be able to put yourself out there and let people kind of get to know you, I think is an invaluable tool and a great advantage that we have, in today's day and age with technology. And I think if you're not using it, I'm not going to, you can be successful with anything if you work hard enough. But, for me, I just feel like it's easy for me. I've just had a lot of fun doing it. I try to not take it too seriously. And just, let it happen.
And one of the things you've also done a lot of, which is different, and you've always been willing to do the things that others won't. And one of the things you've done differently is than most has been video. You said having fun with it. What are some of the different ways you've done video and had fun with it? What was the most fun thing you've had with video?
I mean, I've done so many things. I mean, some of them are more, professional, but some of them are just kind of goofy and fun. I mean, like for Halloween, I dressed up as what was it? The real estate Steve, and I was wearing a wig and like a t-shirt and just, that was fun. I mean, you can go through and see some of the different stuff that I've done. And of course, I mean, anybody who's been following me since the beginning, I mean, I almost, instead of the real estate Pete, I was almost the donut realtor, because one of my first videos was, just kind of, again, having fun with it. We got donuts, and a lot of people really, they enjoyed it. They laughed. It made an impression. And it wasn't that serious. It was just having fun with it.
Right. And that's really the big part that a lot of people don't see. I had a conversation with an agent last night about they have a fear of doing it, but they also have a fear of putting themselves out there. But then again, the other thing was, the fear basically, I think, is not only just putting yourself out there, but it's also most people don't know what to post. And I find that odd. Where do you come up with ideas to post aside from the easy stuff is what you deal with every day? Where do you get your inspiration as far as posting to be different?
Well, I think really, I mean, when I sit down, I'll say when I sit down and I say to myself, okay, I need to post something this week. It's like writer's block. Nothing usually comes to me, or it's very forced. And I feel, you can sometimes see that in the videos that I'm doing. For me, a lot of times it's just in the moment. It's just, hey, I have this idea. Let's shoot a video and, see how it comes out, and then you kind of see what the reaction is. The more people that like it and comment it, you're kind of on the right track. I feel like, I think really just going back to it is when you try and force stuff, it usually doesn't come out as well as the natural stuff. So really it's just, I don't always maybe look the best on video. Maybe my hair's not done just right, or my shirt's got a couple wrinkles in it, but in the moment, organic is usually been the best results for me, because I'm just me and I'm just natural in it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I my new program, I did a lot of videos, and one of them, several of them, my tie is like up over my collar, and I didn't realize that before I started, but I did 3 videos like that, and I decided, you know what, it's me. I'm keeping it there. I can't be perfect. I mean, I try to like, wear the right clothes for me, right? So that's something that I do, and try to have the image of Dave Finale, real estate skill builder, and whatever I've been over the past years. But I think being different is really, I mean, one of the most important things that we've been able to do. Tell me about, I mean, we talked about things you've done that's different, but how do you think that has helped you track your business on an upward trajectory? How do you think being different has helped you?
Oh, it's been tremendous. I mean, just putting myself out there, going back to video, I mean, has been huge with people who maybe, reconnecting with people that maybe I wouldn't have had the opportunity to get to know again. Like people I went to school with who are, time takes you apart, but, I've then reconnected with them by putting myself out there, and it's a very like casual, like smooth transition back into it. So that's where I see it's definitely been a lot of growth in my, people that I know, what we call our sphere of influence. When I go to events, in town in Saddlebrook, and I see people, a lot of what I'll hear is, I walked into one of my buddy's birthday parties, somebody who I haven't seen in a while, James Galbo, you know who you are, from the other side of the backyard, the real estate Pete, and right. It just shows that, I've made an impression. And I'd say probably the coolest thing is reconnecting with certain people that either I didn't really know that well, and now we have really good friendships, like, Claire, she's a great friend of mine, someone who we didn't really know each other that well. And since then reconnecting, I helped her buy a house, and I mean, we bust each other's chops all the time. But what I see a lot of is just like people say to me, oh yeah, I watch your videos all the time, and that just makes me feel good, because it makes me feel like I'm on the right track of growing my business. And I think the most important thing whenever you're doing any of these videos that you have to ask yourself is, what value am I providing in this video? I don't ever want to do a video just to do a video.
Right.
And sometimes the value you're providing is just making someone laugh, give someone a smile. And, that's kind of what I aim for when I do my videos and my social media stuff.
Yeah, it reminds me of the very first video I did. It was at my desk, and it was just when the crash had happened. It was 11, 12 years ago. And, people were struggling, and there wasn't much business out there. And I had a sign in front of me that said, I was talking about how great things were going. And I pulled this sign up, even as I was talking, like being excited. It said, "We'll work for food or a shelter,"
Right.
And I thought it was pretty funny. And although there wasn't as many people on social media 11 years ago as there are today, actually 12 years ago now. But, it's kind of like just being funny to stop the scroll, so to speak, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, and there is, you got to be careful too, because I'm not a comedian, so I'm not here to, go completely off the rails. And, look, everybody has views about certain things. It's like what they say not to talk about, right? Politics and religion. Like, no, that's where I don't do any of that stuff on here, because it's just so volatile, especially in this, climate. But, just keep it light, provide value, those kinds of things.
You mentioned something a minute ago. You said sphere of influence. That's one thing I know you've always worked on. Yeah. And I know that's been a big part of your business. And before you go on and comment on that, I just want to say that I have found, if I talk to 100 real estate agents, I'm going to say about 40% of them will tell me that, yeah, I work my sphere all the time. And I know that only a couple of them really do. Some people, I talk to my sphere all the time, but you know what? They're not. They're talking to them maybe once a year, if they're talking to 10 people out of the 300 that would be on that list. Tell me about the importance of your sphere of influence in your business. And I know you've been complete with it. So that's why I can ask that question. I'll consider you an expert in the sphere of influence realm.
Yeah, I mean, my sphere of influence is my business. That's where I have been able to grow. And it's, honestly, thanks to your help from when I first got into the real estate industry for pointing me in that right direction, because there's so much confusion about where to start and kind of, do I get internet leads? Do I go door knocking, open houses? Like and those are not bad, legs of business, but for me, and I would assume probably most people, your sphere of influence is easily, to me, the most important part of your business. Staying in touch. And again, going back to social media, it's a great way to stay in touch. Although, you do need to have the personal connections, the one-on-ones. You can't just expect to shoot a video out, and because one person saw it, you consider that to be connecting with your sphere of influence. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. But, sphere of influence, I really can't stress enough how important it has been to my business.
Well, one of the first thing that I did last year, first online program I built is called the SOI method, and shameless plug, still available. We're actually have a special with that, with what we're working on, but it basically goes a little bit more in depth than when you and I were working on it together. Basically, it talks about the old ways and the new ways, putting them both together, and how well they can work with all the different social medias. While you don't have to use all the different channels, you really need to apply yourself to 1, 2, or 3 of them. Right. And basically you've done that with, as I see with Instagram and Facebook, and I know there's some snaps out there as well. So, that's really a big part of business. I know you've been working really hard on stuff, and you've got a fundraiser coming up with the Tomorrow's Children Fund. You want to tell me a little bit about that so we can give you some plugs on that, man?
Sure. Yes. And thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about that. So I'll try and keep it brief. I'm in a part of a networking group where we, generate business and kind of have a good referral network. So we sat down and we're like, it's the holidays. What can we put our energy to? And we hooked up with the Tomorrow's Children Fund. We met with Lynn Hoffman, who is the executive director of the fund. She walked us through the clinic, And she showed us some of the great stuff that they do for these kids. I mean, they have like a Harry Potter room that's like a large room like this, and it's got the snowy owl, the broomstick, like all that stuff. And for like the teens who are going through treatment, they made it like a Starbucks kind of room with a TV and all that kind of fun stuff. So what they really do is they try and help these kids and their families, kind of ease the burden of going through treatment for cancer and other blood disorders. So we sat down with her and we said, what can we do to help? And she said, we get a lot of toy donations and we have a good like pantry for a lot of the families. But what we really need and we run short on is for like the older kids, the teens, those kinds of stuff. So she said, like Amazon gift cards, iTunes, like that kind of stuff for the teens. And then for the families, like more casual dining so they can grab a quick dinner out. So, like Applebee's, Longhorn, Chili's, those kinds of things. So we were able to put together, and with our sponsors, we were able to put together an event at the Midland Brew House, which is in Saddlebrook, on December 17th from 6 to 8. Minimum $20 donation will get you 2 drink tickets, and we're going to have appetizers there for the 2 hours that we're there. Cool. And again, with the help from our sponsors, we're able to make sure that 100% of those donations are going directly to the Tomorrow's Children's Fund. We're going to then convert them into those various gift cards. If people would rather get the gift cards direct and donate them, that's fine too. But it's been a great thing so far. This is like my first time ever really putting together a fundraiser, and it's just been super rewarding and super exciting. And I'm really looking forward to it. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about it here.
Sure. Why don't you give a nice shameless plug to your sponsors as well, because they're big into this as well. You're the organizer, but they're helping to do it. So who are those sponsors you talk about?
Sure. So we have Foundation Title, Keller Williams Village Square, McGraw-Hill Federal Credit Union, NXT, which is a cheerleading and coaching gym. I hope I'm not. Oh, VFW Post. I forget the number, but they're up in Sussex County. And I might be forgetting one. If I forget you, I'm so sorry. Let me see. Actually, I got it all here. I think that's everyone. So, but yeah, through those sponsors, it's been great. And like I said, and of course, Midland Brew House, I can't thank them enough. I've been working with Chris Vargas, who's one of the owners there. Tons of support, able to help, super responsive. So if anybody's looking for an event to do there, I mean, it's a beautiful place, great food, and the staff is fantastic.
Well, that's fantastic, man. I mean, you've hit upon, the really great topic of being different. And I think doing what others won't do is something that really is what I base my programs on. And
I learned it from you, man.
Thank you for that. And we talked about the sphere of influence. And I mentioned the SOI method. That is, I mean, it sounds simple, but people won't do it. And you're excelling at doing it because others won't do it. And there's no competition with your sphere of influence if you really think about it, right? Yeah. And then there's your communication. But I mean, look, you're doing this fundraiser, and I'm committed. And I will be there myself with a nice donation for you as I walk through the door. And that's something that, usually it's companies doing it, but rarely is there an individual real estate agent in this business doing it. And I applaud you for doing that. We'll do it right here. We'll applaud you right here. And, hopefully the crowd's applauding you too, everybody who watches this. But as this is on live now, most people will look at it later on, and I will download it and use it and put it out there as well. And so you can as well. But anything else you want to talk about being different or going the extra mile before we wrap up today's session?
I think it's funny in the world of real estate, sometimes being different is much easier than you think. I mean, we've had seminars and stuff here. I mean, sometimes just showing up on time is different than most real estate agents. Sometimes just calling once a week is different than other real estate agents, and communicating with the hard news. I mean, one thing that I've always kind of made a priority in my business, and I always tell my clients, especially when I'm selling their homes, is listen, I'm going to be in touch with you once a week minimum. And if we have a week with no showings and we're not getting the great, feedback that we want, right, I'm going to be there. I'm going to have that tough conversation with you. It's not going to be comfortable. I'm not going to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy it. You might yell at me, but I'm going to have it. And people respect that. People appreciate that. Luckily, I don't have that conversation,
Right.
that actual tough conversation, because we usually get good results. But, it's just knowing that, those little things are sometimes different, and they might be really simple to do.
Yeah, it's I was at a session that we gave at our company this week, and we're talking about this thing about late. Why are I don't know if you know this answer, but why are real estate agents late to everything except maybe closings?
I don't know. I wouldn't even begin to speculate.
I have no idea, and there's a lot of other things that are little pet peeves of mine, but we'll save them for another day. Pete, thanks so much for being on today. This is Pete Kopec with Keller Williams in Ridgewood, and Pete, thanks so much, and I hope to see you real soon, and we can hang out. If I don't see you before, I will see you at the event on the 17th.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Take care. Thank you, everybody.